Today I'd like to teach you how to make some awesome cinnamon rolls at home. So the ingredients are here, pretty simple. Flour, water, brown sugar, butter, oil, yeast, and salt. Brown sugar I prefer to white sugar in the dough. It gives it kind of an extra good flavor. So add the flour and brown sugar and yeast, is 3/4 of a tablespoon of yeast, to your mixer and start it mixing while you add the warm water. So this is a cup of warm water. And you want it to start to form a dough, and you want to get that flour kind of mixed in to it so that it can start forming gluten before you add the butter. So as it's starting to come together, go ahead and add the butter. That'll bring the dough the rest of the way together. I have oil mixed in with that butter, so it comes out to being about a half a cup of kind of oil butter mixture. And the dough starts to come together, and as soon as it comes together, I'm going to stop the mixer and let that rest for about 15 minutes. So rather than having to beat it for the full 15 minutes to get the gluten to develop, I let it kind of do its work on its own, and then start the mixer again, and we'll go ahead and add in the teaspoon of salt. So you see I'm kind of gradually adding it in so it doesn't end up in one lump in there. This allowed the gluten to form quicker, so I didn't have to leave my mixer beating as long. After the salt's added, I go ahead and let it mix for another couple of minutes to make sure that it's well distributed. And that's it. We're ready to let the dough rise. So go ahead and cover the bowl with plastic wrap. You want to keep all that moisture in and keep it in a somewhat warm spot until the dough is risen to at least double, if not 2.5 times. So now you're going to take the dough and put it onto a floured surface. So we're going to take that dough and make sure that it's not too sticky to work with. And then we're going to go ahead and use a rolling pin to roll it out into a nice rectangle. So you can see this dough is fairly relaxed, it's not pulling back. So once the dough is rolled out into a nice rectangle, it's time for us to add our butter. Now a lot of people add too much butter. We just want about a tablespoon of butter, maybe a little bit more, just enough to coat the surface, but not so much that it's going to melt out while we bake it and end up as caramel sugar on the bottom. Next we add the cinnamon sugar. You're going to want to sprinkle it from up above to try and get a nice even layer of cinnamon sugar spread across the dough. So we'll go ahead and we will roll up that into a nice kind of log roll with the cinnamon butter in the inside. I'm going to seal it closed as I go here. And then we're going to cut little about 1.5 inch roll sections. You'll get 12 of them out of this roll and put them into a slightly greased 9x13 pan. And we will let them rise. So again, we cover it with a little bit of plastic wrap. It's not as essential that you get it totally tight here. You just want to kind of keep them from drying out. And then we go ahead and bake them. And when they come out, they'll look delicious. So we need a little bit of frosting for this. And the frosting's pretty simple to make. You just take a couple of tablespoons of butter. And I like to start mixing it with my powdered sugar. And then add a little bit of vanilla and a couple of tablespoons of milk. Once you get that, you can mix it all together. I do it by hand. It's pretty easy. You don't need a mixer to do this. Just beat it until it's nice and smooth. go ahead and put it on top of your cinnamon rolls, and you have one of the most delicious treats that your kids will love you forever.